Grand Rising to all my kinfolk and friendfolk out there in this reality today. Just want to give thanks for this beautiful sunshine that's gleaming upon my face this morning, and I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have an opportunity to speak to you guys. I've always thought growing up in the process and stuff that life was pretty simple. You know, besides the norms, which is getting up, going to work, doing a job for somebody, so that you can make ends meet, you know what I mean? Like everybody's not born with a silver spoon in their mouth, so we all have to get out here and get that done. That brings me to a point. I remember having an encounter with a police officer, and he was asking me a bunch of questions as if I had done something. Not only if I had done something, but he was hell bent on finding something to incriminate me for something. And I remember saying to him that, why do you think I gotta lie to you? You know? I'm a grown man. It's probably older than him at the time. And you coming up to me asking me some questions, which I realized today I didn't even really have to engage in any conversation with him whatsoever. To get myself all roused up and stuff. But I was pretty calm, and I asked him a simple question. After I said, like, why do you think I need to lie to you? I asked him, I told him rather, that I got up out of my bed this morning just like you did to get up and go to work, just like you did. And I got up this work, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you did, so that I can get out and, provide for my family. And believe it or not, he kind of like calmed down and was very, very, not apologetic, because his ego was in the way, so he wouldn't be apologetic. His feelings basically was kind of, extinguished. So the emotion and whatnot was taken away from him just by me being calm and asking him a few simple questions and making a few simple statements. So I say that because, again, there's a lot of things that go on that are being said, and it's not my reality. I remember a Filipino sister, and I call her a Filipino sister because when you look at her features and her face, you can see that she had some let's just say, quote unquote, black blood. And the pictures that I've seen way back, early 1900s, mid 1700s, the Filipino people was dark-skinned people. Most of the people in the Fiji Islands and Hawaii and Bermuda and Australia and Brazil, um, China, Japan, just to name a few. America were dark-skinned people. And somehow they lightened up over time, which was no fault of their own per se. Because I didn't have a choice in the matter of my skin color, so I'm happy with the skin I'm in. I love myself for who I am. I love my people for who we are. I know that we are great people. Not that other people are not great, but there's only two people on this planet, you know, male and female human beings, and we all come in different sizes, shapes, and colors. I'm not going to get into the black and white thing because I'm not a black man. When I look at my steering wheel here, right? When I look at the steering wheel, I see that this steering wheel is black. I see that the console of my car here is black. I see that the shifter in my car is black, right? I see all of that as the color I know as being black. And then I look at myself, right? I look at myself and then I see a nice brown tone individual, a copper tone individual, a melanated being, a being of chlorophyll. This is what they call the plants. That's the how you say, that's the liquid, the energy, the microbe that gives plants their colors, chlorophyll. And ours as human beings is called melanin. So when people call themselves melanated, that means that they are people of color. Um, I don't think it was too many places that I know of in the what I've studied over the years and stuff, what I've read over the years. I don't think that there were too many melanated beings who were calling themselves black people. The word black people came from some other people who call themselves white people, and they are not white people, right? Like, when you look at the color white, like my shirt, that's white, right? And so, how do we get these names and stuff, and what do these names mean, and why are they even relevant as far as our humanity, and our connection together? We all connected, man. It don't even matter. I remember 9/11, right? And when I was in the junkyard looking for some parts for my car, and I remember seeing these helicopters fly over the junkyard, and the sky was just different, like there was no planes, there was there's just these military, helicopters. And I say military because they were in formation. They were in like three of them, you know, two in the side, one in the front, you know. And then I remember, hearing that the towers had been hit by a plane. Then, by the time I got home, which was a short time later, actually saw the second plane hit the second tower. And it was kind of devastating because I knew it was early in the morning. I mean, like it was getting close to 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is like rush hour. So, there were people and stuff like that in the building, going to work. I mean, if I worked in New York City, or even in the World Trade Center that day, I probably would have been there. So I knew the reality of there being people in that building, and not only in the building, but I would have suspected that there would be people on a plane. I mean, why would there be any planes in the air flying if there's no people on the planes. I don't think that they just fly planes back and forth, or transport a plane over here or over there and stuff like that. I don't think they do that often where, there would be no people on the plane. So that day, I just thought about, the people who were on that plane, the people who had families, you know what I'm saying, that were, these people wasn't going to be coming home. And then, a few days later and stuff, of course, all of the patriotic stuff begins and stuff. You got the president, you got all of the media and stuff, talking about, together we stand, united we stand. That was the jingle, let's say. That was the jingle, right? Because, this like, just like America, make America great again, is a jingle to me, or Blue Lives Matter. It's a jingle to me. Black Lives Matter. It's a jingle. It's used to either rally the people together or it's used to divide the people from one another. Which brings me to my what I wanted to talk about and stuff. I just read several articles on several, social media platforms about Ron DeSantis. Let's go to Ron DeSantis first. That was one of the articles that I read first. And for some reason, like during COVID, when COVID was ravaging the planet for 2 years, I've never been and I never will be a person or a being that believes in, being like everybody else or doing what everybody else does. I'm always suspect that if everybody's doing it, right, then something must be wrong with it. You know what I mean? Like, the blind leading the blind, you're being led to slaughter, the Pied Piper type of thing, right? Where they leading you down this leading you basically to your destruction. So Mr. DeSantis, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I really don't give a damn about him or really nothing that he stands for. He was against the machine. He went against their grain. He wasn't mandating anything, which, again, a mandate is not a law. A mandate is something that is, enforced or brought about by a governor or something like that. That's not law. So, according to the Constitution and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like the Constitution is the law of the land. So any code, ordinance, or statute, any of that type of stuff, those are all municipal things, state things, and everything like that. But the law of the land, the law that trumps everything, is the Supreme Court. And you have freedom of religion. You have freedom, period, that was given to us by God. And we can make a decision for ourselves, or I'm not even, we're not even going to get into let's just say God, fuck it. You given natural rights, you know what I'm saying? When you came here, you had rights, you know what I mean? And when you leave here, you have rights. So you should be able to make a choice for yourself. Anything and nothing should be forced on you, without your consent, which means that you agree. So this man wasn't mandating anything. I'm sure that there were other states and whatnot that were the same. They weren't mandating things, but again, like they say, these blue states, and we're gonna cover that red and blue too, because all of this again is just It's divisive mechanisms that, are used by people to control their group. You know what I'm saying? They always want to try to pit you against me against you, have us divided, right? And we can't come together on common ground and build something, overthrow them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about overthrowing the government and all that stuff, because again, the Constitution tells us in the First Amendment that we have the right to petition the government. You know what I mean? That we have the right to come together as a people, because it's supposed to be a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. But if you notice, the people don't have anything to say, because most of them are on their iPads, the iPhones, the Androids. People are working and make ends meet. They're working to survive. They're working to take care of their families and all this type of stuff. So people really don't even have any idea what's going on around them. And that is by design, to give you things to keep you occupied. It's the same thing people do when you hand your child a phone, and your child is fine with the phone over there. You ain't got to talk to the child. You ain't got to worry about the child. You know that the child is sitting there with that phone and he ain't going nowhere. So Mr. DeSante basically gave people the right? He by signing an executive order, it was as if they were forcing, and in some places they were enforcing that you had to take what they were trying to force into you. So and I like that. I was like, you know what, like if this guy was running for president and stuff like that, I'd vote for him, because he's standing up and saying, no, we're not going to do this. I don't believe it. I'm not going to, mandate. I'm not going to go with the propaganda machine and be a part of that. So I applauded that, and I still do. I still think that was a courage, move that he made. You know what I mean? So I loved him for that. And then, I guess a couple of years later, then he started talking about how, he wasn't going to allow no black history studies in the school. He wasn't going to allow, this type of education in the school. Now, this is where me and Mr. DeSante separated. Okay, this is where we separated. I don't know why these people try to act as if so-called black people have not contributed anything to this country. I don't know why some people believe that so-called black people, all black people, were slaves. I don't know why they think that all black people think alike, that we all agree, that, we all feel a certain type of way about a certain thing, like fried chicken. I love fried chicken. And I've seen many white folks in fried chicken joints, as I've seen us in fried chicken joints. Watermelon. I love watermelon. I ain't got no problem with it. As a matter of fact, if you could bring me a watermelon every day, I would appreciate it. And just make sure that it's got seeds in it, though. Because, all of this. And that's another thing. Look, we all have something to say. You know what I'm saying? We can't allow the narrative to continue to be a certain type of way by a certain group of people, working towards a certain agenda. And the agenda is not in our best interest. So we can't just sit back and not have anything to say. And I've struggled with, just going live or going, making videos and stuff, because I don't know if I'm any good at posting this stuff. Like, I have a lot to say. And I want to say a lot. I speak a lot to a lot of different people about a lot of different things and whatnot, but I've never, and even the videos that I've done on YouTube and stuff like that, like I really haven't gotten any hits, anything. I maybe just the people that my family, pretty much, I think. And a couple of, if I post something silly on there, like when my grandson was like a year old and stuff, and I was saying something to him and stuff, and he would repeat what I said. This boy was just a year old. He was repeating basically what I said because everything is vibration. So he understood the vibration. He is me and I am him. That's my reflection. You know what I'm saying? Coming into the universe and whatnot, through my seed, my grandson is my oldest daughter, my first daughter's son. So that, I believe, is how that works. So that's what I know works for me. And that is my opinion. Again, every individual has an opinion, okay? Every individual has a thought, right? They have their way of seeing things. There's nothing wrong with that. Allow other people to be who they are. Stop trying to force everybody to think the way you think. The church does it. The politicians does it. The school does it, right? And again, going back to Mr. DeSantis. Mr. DeSantis, I doubt it very seriously if you ever, get a glimpse of this video. I hope you would, because I would love to speak to you directly and tell you that black people, so-called black people that you despise, right? Because you are so like weak, in your capacity as a man. Like I never looked at another man and said, "Oh, he's got big muscles." I've seen Joe Biden do that. It cracked me up. I've never looked at another man and envied that man because that man was muscular. He could dance. The man could sing. That's what these people do. They are so envious, jealous, want to be something that they're not instead of being what you are. You can learn to dance, Mr. DeSantis. You can learn to sing. You can be a player, but you ain't got no confidence. You're a dictator. You're a dude, you're a narcissist. That's why you line with Trump. You know what I'm saying? That you talk about you would even pardon him. And we're going to get to that too. Look, I'm not a damn Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I'm not for the red. I'm not for the blue. I'm an independent thinker of my own. Right? And this is what this man calls woke, when you don't agree again with their agenda. They call you woke. Well, again, they took that from us because I've been watching YouTube videos of brothers, man, for Bobby Hemmett and Phil Valentine and Black Magic 363 and Mfundisi and Professor Griff and so many of our great leaders, Tupac, poets and stuff, giving us knowledge and information in song as well as in words, just being themselves. And these other people, right, they are so jealous, so envious, man. You know what I'm saying? And then they got the propaganda machine that continues to pump out that it's wrong to be woke, right? It's wrong to be able to acknowledge the things around you, see the things around you and say, this is what I see, when they're trying to tell you that there's nothing to see here. So if you stand on your own and say you see it, and you say I'm woke, then they say no, you're not woke. You understand? Because they don't agree, and it's not a part of their agenda, and they definitely don't want you to be awake. See, because awake, right? Awake is like, truth and lie, right? Something is true and then something is lie. But one thing I'll say that came out of the Bible that says that in the last days and times, which I don't believe in that philosophy, but it says that the truth will be the lie and the lie will be the truth. You see? And with all of the, there's several things that the Sunday guy, this other agenda with this, alphabet group and whatnot that has an agenda. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I watch commercials on TV about HIV, and then all I see on there is two melanated beings on there and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? All hugged up and kissing each other and talk about they fighting the HIV and this, that, the other and stuff. And they're promoting this agenda again. And if you don't agree that these people should be and encroach upon your rights, right? Then you're anti this or anti that. You see how this goes? Like, this is just a bunch of freaking nonsense, man. It's just crazy that we living in a world where you can't even think outside, of what everybody else wants you to think. It's crazy. So, Mr. DeSantis, sir, when you look at Florida, the state of Florida, sir, you look in the history of Florida, the history that you guys didn't burn up, right? The history that you guys didn't destroy or hide. And as a matter of fact, you tried to hide it, but people found it. And then they said, oh, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that there was melanated people here thousands of years before any Columbus was here in this country? You mean to tell me that there was cities, running water, electricity, all this stuff here hundreds of years ago? And there are pyramids in this country. There are artifacts in this country. There are paintings on the walls in the tombs in this country, in the museums. Your museums are filled with the same so-called black history that you try to deny, or you try to cover up or keep it from the people. Why is that right? Why I got to remember a Holocaust that happened in 1942 when there was a Holocaust in Namibia, Africa, during the mid-1800s, where there was over 85% of the people, the population, the Namibians, who were slaughtered. The book is called The Kaiser's Holocaust. And it's also titled The Forgotten Holocaust. Ain't nobody forget it. They hid it. Because again, you got a group of people, right? You got a group of people who want to control the narrative, who want to control the education, who want to control the information, who want to control the history, right? Telling you that the only people who've been victimized by this type of stuff is that group. I don't have to be, specific as to the groups that I'm talking about, because everybody knows, it's not a secret. You know what I'm saying? But they want to keep it a secret. That book, they want to keep that book a secret. But I got two of them. You know what I'm saying? I got two. And I'd be willing to sell you one. I can't give it to you because I had to pay for it. I'd be willing to sell you one. You understand? Or tell you where you can get one so you can have your own. You don't have to buy it from me. I'd rather keep my book anyway. So I can reference my book when it come down to people like Mr. DeSante over there in Florida talking about this, that, the other didn't exist. It wasn't that bad. Oh, it wasn't what they say it was and everything there. Come on, man. You like, what is wrong with you people? You know what? Your ancestors have done so much um, evil in the world. All over the freaking globe. Australia, Tasmania, right? Japan, you dropped a bomb, couple bombs on 2 countries, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Vietnam, you dropped a bomb right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921 on people who had no bombs, people who were not bothering you, people who were prospering. You don't want to see them. You don't want to see them so-called black people prospering. You want them to be miserable. You want them to forget about who they were, who they are. You want them to forget about how great their nations were. Not nation, but nations. All across the globe, we've had nations, building nations, building civilizations. Those ancient Kemites, so-called Egyptians, was black people. You can tell this, number one, by the art that's on the wall in the tombs. You can tell this by the features of the statues, the monuments that are built all over the land. Not only in Kemet, right, but they have the same thing in Ethiopia. They have the same thing in the Sudan. They have the same thing all across Africa, right? They have the same thing, these same type of monuments and stuff built all over the place. Even over here, we built stuff. You see, the Mayans, the Incas, the Olmecs, right? The Arawaks, the Chickasaw, and so on and so forth. These are all our people who've been lightened up over a period of time. You don't believe me? Look up the Dawes Commission. This is where they get the term the $5 Indians. Look it up. Look it up and see how these Europeans paid the Dawes Commission $5, right, to become a part of a reservation so that they could get land. And they've stolen this land under false pretense, $5. They've gotten land. This is what Dr. King talked about in that mountaintop speech when he was talking about it. He was talking about how, maybe he made a mistake. And the mistake that he made was fighting for integration. Because when we integrated, right, in this country, we lost everything we had. I grew up in the 1960s. I'm born in 1961, right? And I saw, the black-owned businesses up and down everywhere I went. Newark, Asbury Park, Philadelphia, New York City. Same cities that don't have anything in there today but crime and drugs that they flooded these cities with. These same DeSante type people flood this stuff in. These J. Edgar Hoovers, these Richard Nixons, these Ronald Reagans. These are the people who, they've Oliver North. Everybody remembers the Iran-Contra affair. What they was doing, they was using the money that they was getting from the crack cocaine, and they was sending this money over there to fight their little secret war. Didn't y'all know? Come on. You think that these beasts will change ever? And I'm not talking about, because I got friends, right, who are of a different persuasion than myself. And you know me, the same person that you always knew. I'm the same person. You know, if I told you I loved you then, I'm telling you I love you now. I don't care what color you are, where you come from, what you consider yourself to be, or whatever. I know that if you had any association with me, we were friends. We were associates. You know me, and that's who I am. So don't ever think that, you know, I'm no bigot or anything of that sort, because that's not who I am. So don't let, you know, the people, again, the powers that be, try to make it like, you know, when you're talking or you're saying something that they don't agree with, because they don't agree with it, right? Then you're some label. Again, they label you. You know what I'm saying? Just like, you know, they call you a bigot, they call you a racist, when you're just a human being who has a right to say and feel any kind of way you want to. You know, so I again think that just like we got this fake history, it's fake. You know, it's fake. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, all of these jokers were men who were they was poor, most of them, and they got their positions and stuff like that by being, you know, involved in the military, most of them, you know, or maybe they had a little money and stuff like that, you know, where they was able to buy their way into power. You see, and just like today, you got you know, people with a lot of money who buy their way into power, and they've been able to manipulate the whole freaking country into thinking that they are above the law because they have money. They are above the law because everybody's picking on me. You know how stupid that sounds? For a grown old ass man to be running around here talking about, you know, everybody hates me. And because they hate me, I'm going to take my ball. It's my ball. I don't have to share it with you. I don't care if you voted or you didn't vote. It's my ball. I'm taking it and I'm going home. And if you resist, right? It's like the police. You know, if you resist, right? When you're not resisting, but they stop resisting, right? While they punching you and sticking you and this, that, the other, right? And then, you know, you have that type of shit going on where, you know, people turn the other cheek and say, oh, well, maybe, you know, they did this to him and maybe they did that to him. They, you know, these are the same two people. Florida and Key Largo, you know, they right down there together. You understand? Scratching each other's back, you know, right? Probably got something to do, you know. I mean, this guy, this other guy, we call him other guy. This other guy, there's many pictures with him with this Epstein dude who was considered a pedophile and a part of a kid you know, kidnapping kids and molesting kids and sleeping with these young girls and all this kind of stuff. Man, there's plenty of pictures of him, most of them freaking Clinton and goddamn Trump. I'm just gonna say it. In pictures with that dude and with big smiles on their face and everybody's, you know, drinking this, that, the other. You know, all these guys hang out together anyway, the red and the blue, Republicans and the Democrat. I don't give a damn about Obama. You know, Obama and Bonner, the white dude who was the Speaker of the House when Obama was the president. Man, look, do you see them jokers at the ball, right, in their black suits and tie, okay, chilling together, drinking together, toasting each other together. This is all a freaking front, man. These people are, they use their platform and whatnot to divide the people. It's an agenda, you know? It's an agenda. So, Mr. DeSantis, you got to go, dude. You know, and y'all got to, you know, y'all Floridians, man, y'all got to y'all got to stand up and do something about this character with this history and stuff, man, about how you just gonna take some stuff out and, you know, you doing a whole bunch of stuff for one man. You know, just one man, you got too much power, bro. You know? You got too much power. If you was a police officer, you be out here busting niggas in the head. And you know it. So because you're insecure and you feel some kind of way because jealousy and envy is will drive you insane, man. You know? And you're not gonna succeed, bro, because wokeness is people is already woke. And the universe is gonna answer the call. The call to justice, the call to righteousness, the true, the call to truth, the call to order, the call to truth. That's the balance in the universe, And Kemet, they call her Ma'at, right? Truth, righteousness, justice, balance, order, reciprocity. You see? So these are principles, once again, that we have as a people for thousands of years. And they've taken our principles, like all of those so-called Egyptian gods, are just principles. They're not, these people are not worshiping a falcon head, man with a falcon head. They're not worshiping a woman with an ostrich head. All of those are symbolic to something. Just like you say Jesus is the Lion of Judah. Is Jesus a lion? People say Jesus is the light of the world. Is he literally the light? Or is that just a metaphor? Everything is metaphor. And when you don't understand metaphor because they're not teaching you this stuff in school, then it's easy for you to be susceptible to a lie. Believing in things that you don't understand, superstition ain't the way. And I'm going to sign off with that. Peace.